Hey guys, so we just got done with the Super Bowl, so I want to take a minute and talk about attention. A couple of years ago, I heard Gary Vee make a statement saying that Super Bowl ads are the most underpriced attention that's available. And at first blush, I was like, that doesn't make sense. That's kind of, I was scratching my head over that statement a little bit. And so in running the numbers, looking at this year's numbers, for instance, a 30-second spot costs $7 million. The viewership this year was 113 million people. So that's, it's huge. It's literally a third of the country was sitting down watching. But when you look at that through the lens of cost per 1,000 impressions, so CPM is the term in marketing speak, cost per 1,000 impressions. That comes out to over $60 per cost per 1,000 impressions. Did I say that right? That was a mouthful. $60 per 1,000 impressions. That's really high in a CPM type assessment. Usually we're looking for CPMs to be down in the low teens in order to have like a healthy, high performing e-commerce marketing play. You could look at that and argue, okay, well, yeah, they put the ad out for the Super Bowl, but then they're going to get millions of organic views before and after the Super Bowl because they're going to put it on YouTube and Instagram and all the other platforms. And that's true. But let's do a theoretical where let's say they get an additional, let's call it 10 million organic views, which that's really healthy. You get 10 million organic views, you're killing it. That does bring the CPM down, but we're kind of down, we're still in the 50s, call it. And so at first blush, that's really expensive from a cost, per 1,000 impressions. But what I realized is that not all CPMs are made equal, right? We know that, when we're thinking of advertising, like it's one thing to just get generic low-cost CPMs, but if it's to the wrong audience, then it's not going to help you. But it's not just about making sure it's reaching the right audience. It's also about how deeply that audience is paying attention. And that's where it gets really interesting because if you stop and think about it, most places you could put an ad, they're going to be interruptive in nature. There's very few ways where you can place an ad where the ad is actually additive to the experience that the viewer is having. And granted, you can make really funny ads, and we did a ton of this at Harmon Brothers where we make the ads so great that people actually want to watch them. People welcome them. People are excited. They talk about it. They share it. They comment, all of those things. Yes, that is all part of the equation. You can do all of that. But in terms of just placing it somewhere where the viewer is already paying attention, full attention on that placement, and not only do they have their full attention on it, but they're welcoming it. That's what's so special about the Super Bowl. I can't think of anywhere else where the commercial breaks are as widely celebrated and welcomed and paid attention to as in the Super Bowl. There's literally no other, sporting event. There's no other TV show. There's no other concert. You name it. There's no other place where the commercials are welcomed like they are in the Super Bowl and paid attention to like they are in the Super Bowl. And I think that's where Gary Vee is right in saying that, that type of attention is so hard to come by and it is so rare that when you get that opportunity, yes, you're willing to pay a premium for it. $7 million for a 30-second spot. It actually makes perfect sense for the right company, right? The company needs to have laid its foundation so that it, can reach a large number of people and be able to serve a large number of people. And, it would never make sense for a startup, a brand new startup to do that, right? The foundation just hasn't been laid and it doesn't make sense to go spend $7 million on an ad. So why is this on my mind, right? I'm working on this new project, Black Autumn. We're adapting this book series into a TV series. But what we're doing very differently, by the way, if you haven't seen the trailer for it, I'll leave it in the description or the comments below. Go check it out. It's really cool. Super excited about this project. But one of the things that we're doing that's unique is these deep brand integrations, so that so the old model in TV, right, was if you give the TV show away for free, then you have to run commercial breaks in it. So it comes with these interruptions. And then, Netflix and Amazon come along and they get rid of commercial breaks, which is awesome, but now you have to pay a subscription because the monetization method now happens through those subscriptions, which initially that was super cool, but now the subscriptions are starting to stack up with Disney Plus and Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and HBO and you name it, right? There's so many subscriptions that it's almost like, to watch the shows that you want, you end up with a cable type bill just to be able to see those shows. And so what we're doing with Black Autumn is we want to bring the free model back. And Angel Studios has paved the path for us to be able to do that, right? They gave The Chosen away for free. They gave Dry Bar Comedy away for free. They found other ways to monetize that content other than commercial breaks and other than subscriptions. So in the case of The Chosen, they use Pay It Forward, where you watch a show and at the beginning of the episode it says, hey, this episode was paid for by Jim in South Carolina or whatever. And then you watch your episode and the episode gets done and then you get invited. Would you like to pay it forward so someone else can watch this for free? And it turns out for The Chosen, that model has been wildly successful, right? It's a Jesus show and people are super excited and super passionate about paying it forward to kind of spread, this Jesus show. Phenomenal show, by the way. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Dry Bar Comedy uses a tipping model. You watch this Dry Bar special, comedian, makes you laugh, you have a great time, and then you get to the end and you get invited to leave a tip for the comedian, which is very different than, hey, pay up front. Instead, this is pay on the back end. Okay, so with Black Autumn, we're trying to kind of combine all of these worlds where we want to give the content away for free. We don't want commercial breaks. And we want to be able to monetize it in ways other than subscriptions. And so we're working on these deep brand integrations. You can go look at episode 1 where I kind of give this example of Transformers and how it was done there. But there are lots of other examples. Willy Wonka was essentially a big brand integration to sell candy. Many of the toy companies, so think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, already talked about Transformers, Care Bears, the list goes on and on where you essentially make this content that has these, deep brand integrations and these product integrations in a way that is additive to the viewing experience. So you're not interrupting, you're not distracting, you're not, pausing to, make some sales pitch or something like that. It's not like a commercial break. Instead, the content is very seamlessly integrated in a way that actually adds value. And our belief is that if we can shrink the transactional proximity, so from the time you see something to the time you can actually buy it and have it, we're trying to shrink that transactional proximity down as small as possible. And what that will allow us to do is inside of the Black Autumn content, we'll be able to do brand integrations where let's use a bug out bag, for instance. Like, let's say a character, emergency happens, they have to rush out in a hurry, jump in their car, they're trying to get to somewhere safe. So they grab their bug out bag. Then they end up needing to survive using this bag. And so as you're watching this happen, there's all this drama and this peril. You care about the character. You're worried about what's going to happen to them. And you also see the strategies that they're using as they use their bug out bag. What are the things in there that they're using to survive? And as you're watching that, you're thinking like, oh man, what would I do in that situation? Imagine you get to the end of that episode and then you're invited, hey, you can have that bug out bag for yourself and you can be prepared for the unknowable, right? The unforeseen. That is a way that we can introduce this product similar to the Super Bowl in a way where we're not interrupting. We're actually showing this to you at a time when your attention is 100%. You're in the moment, you're watching the show, you care about what's going on, you care about the characters, and that's where the brand or the product gets introduced. So from a brand perspective, I think this is like super, super powerful. Outside of the Super Bowl, where can you find that level of attention where people are fully focused, and that's when you get to introduce your brand or your product, and you get to go in there and present it in a way that's additive to the viewing experience, but where you don't have to fight for attention or interrupt or anything like that because the attention is already fully there. That is super cool. I think that's so powerful. One other thought that I have on attention, I recently heard Alex Hermosi make the statement that attention is the new oil. You know, he's essentially making this argument that 100 years ago, the Rockefellers of the world hit it big because of oil. And now that is, you know, attention today is the new oil. That is the currency that is creating, you know, call it the next wave of billionaires. And he has like a solid argument for that. And so while I both agree and disagree, and I could go into that deeper another time, but I basically think of it like this. There are certain innovations that unlock new productivity within the world. And oil was one of those, right? Oil was lower cost energy than the world had ever had. And so it unlocked this whole, you know, industrial revolution, essentially, which created massive prosperity across the world, brought so many millions of people out of poverty, and created massive amounts of wealth in the process. While I don't see attention as being equivalent to that, right? I would say the internet is probably equivalent to that because it, you know, essentially ushered in the information age, which also unlocked huge amounts of productivity, lifted millions of people out of poverty, and generated enormous wealth in the process. AI could potentially become that if it unlocks massive amounts of productivity. Other things like Bitcoin could potentially become something like that. And I don't put attention into those same categories because essentially attention is not unlocking productivity across humanity. But where Alex is correct is that by commanding attention, we are able to impact the world in outsized ways. Like there's no denying that, you know, whoever has controlled the attention of humans has been able to shape society and shape culture, and they've, you know, received outsized wealth as a result of it. The difference is that the ability to acquire attention has kind of been democratized through all the social media platforms. And so now it's available to, you know, you or me or anyone else who is willing to go and put in the work to, you know, to build an audience and to capture that attention. And so Alex is absolutely right that, you know, brands and individuals who can successfully build an audience and capture that attention, they are the ones who win, without a doubt. So anyways, a little bit of a tangent there. So I both agree with Alex and disagree with him at the same time. It's not on the same level as oil, but it is crazy important, and it's such a essential piece of the puzzle to be successful in business. You have to be able to break through the noise. You have to be able to capture people's attention, and that's, you know, that was the whole name of the game at Harmon Brothers. It was, how do we create ads that are so good people want to give their attention to them? And now I'm trying to take that to the next level, and how do we create entertainment that people are giving their attention to, and then how do we integrate brands and products in a way that is additive, not distractive, so that we can move the needle for those brands, but also create a phenomenal experience for the viewers, and we can build a big audience around that. So anyways, So appreciate you guys being along for the journey. I would love it if you have a favorite brand who you think would be a good fit for the Black Autumn show. Please introduce us, or even just tell us what that brand is so that we can reach out. Go to blackautumn.com. There's a contact us section there. Drop a note there in the contact us section. We would love to hear from you. And otherwise, please subscribe, like, comment, share, and stay in touch with us as we go through this process. We sure appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.